Hey everybody, welcome back to Anime Sekai Podcast. I am your host, Ichigo.
And I'm your other host, Mikan.
Join us this week as we discuss the famous anime movie Your Name, also known as Kimi no Namae wa. Hey everybody, what's up?
Hey guys, welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We truly appreciate it. So, this week we are going to be discussing the anime movie Your Name, also known in Japanese as Kimi no Namae wa. And if you have not seen this movie, which we're hoping you've seen it by now, as it's
You
so
probably live under
famous
a
and
rock.
popular.
Yeah, you've probably been living under a rock.
But this movie is so famous and popular, and you can stream it on Crunchyroll right now. So if you haven't seen it, we will be giving out spoilers. I'm pretty sure because the movie's been out for a while, there are already spoilers on the internet.
Yeah.
But um, I'm going to give you just a very quick synopsis. So, this movie is about Mitsuha and Taki, who are total strangers living completely different lives. When Mitsuha makes a wish to leave her mountain town for the bustling city of Tokyo, they become connected in a very bizarre way. She dreams she is a boy living in Tokyo, while Taki dreams he is a girl from a rural town he's never visited. What does their newfound connection mean, and how long will it bring them together? If you've never seen this movie, you can stream it now on Crunchyroll. And this movie won the 2018 Anime Award, and I think it was for Best Movie or something along those lines. But it is a really good movie, top rated. Please go check it out.
It's really good, guys. And I mean, it was just phenomenal during the time it came out. It was everywhere. You guys are probably, if you have not heard of this and you have been watching anime, you probably do live under a rock. Just FYI.
Unless you're new to the anime community, then
Yeah,
welcome.
then that's understandable.
Welcome to the anime community. Glad you joined the club. But
Mm-hmm.
this is definitely I think, quite honestly, a must see movie
Oh
for
yeah.
anime
I
fans.
think I think even if it's not up your alley, it's kind of one of those where it's like you need to see it at least once to see what everyone's talking about and what the vibe is.
Hmm.
Because it was I think it came out 2016. I think it was the highest grossing anime film of that year. And the total gross actually surpassed Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. So everybody was
Yeah.
hopping on the train. So you, I think everyone should try it at least once.
Yeah. Well, and quite honestly, when the movie came out, it was all over social media that year.
Mhm. 'Cause it
And
was
then,
gorgeous.
oh, girl, yes. I remember
Like
watching this in the movies and being like,
it was beautiful.
oh. And
And
then when
yeah.
it left the movie theaters, social media presence kind of died down a little bit. But once Crunchyroll put it on their platform, it started booming again with all of the spoilers, the
Mhm.
trailers, the songs, everything. Oh,
At first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought I didn't understand the hype because I thought it was just like a typical, body switch type movie, but it
hmm
really is so much more, than that, and it really does have a beautiful understanding of, like, kind of like falling in love and coming of age and loss, and I
hmm
do love the line that they have of, "Oh, I've always been, like, looking for someone."
right. I didn't know who they were, but I was looking for
Mhm. Like,
somebody.
I what is it? I think this specifically oh, yeah, I feel like I'm always searching for something or someone,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure everyone's always felt that way. There's, like, something amiss, and it's kinda cute how they pulled that together and made a little cute story about it.
Well, not only that, I think most brilliant part of this movie is that they tied in the red thread of fate.
Yeah. The little red
And
ribbon.
yeah, the red ribbon. So, for those that do not know, it is, I don't even know how to describe like what it is, but it's basically a uh
It's like an urban legend kind of,
yeah.
the red
Fear
ribbon. It's on your
mhm.
yeah. I think it's on your pinky finger, and whoever it's attached to on the other end is, like, your fated
Your soulmate.
person.
Yeah, it's your soulmate. It can't be broken or cut. It's just that bond is so strong, and when you know, you know.
Mhm.
And the fact that the red ribbon of fate was basically like what tied them together and
Yeah,
what brought
and
them together
yeah,
because it was played
Akaito.
out throughout the whole movie. Right,
Yep.
Akaito. Mhm.
That's how you say it in Japanese, guys. But,
Akai.
also the fact that when he returns the red ribbon back to Mitsuha, like, that's when their memory loss sort of begins about each other,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my god, the thing that was tying them together is now kind of gone," and I was like, "Oh, it's so sad."
But it's such a beautiful
It's a beautiful
story.
story. I remember somebody said, what if the movie just ended where Taki finds out that she's dead?" It's like, imagine
And
if the
that's
movie
it?
ended with Taki realizing Mitsuha's died from the meter 3 years ago, and that it's just a sad story, and I was like, "That's messed up. You need some therapy,"
That
but
is really messed up.
that would've been an
And
interesting take.
no, it wouldn't because my heart would be completely broken. Like, here you are trying to chase after this girl who technically died 3 years before you like, once you finally realize, like, that no, that hurts.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's painful.
I don't even wanna think about it. Because 'Cause I'm sitting here really trying to wrap that concept around my head, and I'm just like, that movie not only would, number 1, be very short, but number 2, if they did extend the movie, now we gotta see Taki going back through all the emotions of grief,
Yeah.
and it's like, if this is supposed to be a romance story, which if she has technically passed away and they ended it like that, who does he end up with? Like, does he end
He
up
doesn't
with the
end up with
senpai that he
anybody.
had
Oh,
well,
yeah.
that's the messed up part, like, does he just kind of, quote,
Okudera
unquote and
senpai?
this sounds bad, but, like, yeah, does he compromise with her? And then, because she does say, I had a crush on him."
Mhm.
Like,
It was
I
so
like
cute though,
him.
because she was helping him out, with, like, talking to Okudera senpai and, like,
I know. Mitsuha is girl, I loved her character in this story. She's definitely like your typical teenage girl who's just
Mhm.
kinda shy and awkward, but she has, like, her little friends and
Yeah.
oh, now what I didn't like was that, they're supposed to be in a small town, she's still kinda getting bullied in a sense by the other kids, or she's kinda getting made fun of by the other
Oh, yeah,
kids.
because of the traditions and yeah, they're like,
Right,
"What are you doing?" Mhm.
which I'm kind of like, if y'all have known her for that long period of time, what y'all making fun of her for? Like,
Yeah, I
that's just
mean,
rude.
they're teen like, I feel like when you get to that teen stage, everyone just becomes mean, you know?
Yeah. I didn't appreciate it, and I think that's just because I don't even know how to explain it. I'm more of, like, a big buff of historical Japanese
Yes, you love your
history and, like, e
Michaels and all that.
everything,
Yeah, you love
especially when it is portrayed in anime.
yeah,
So, when she is literally in her full I'm not gonna say
little
Miko because I know that's not the
yeah, like
official
her full
title, but
getup, yeah, the shrine,
her full getup and she's dancing and they're doing like that whole thing, like, I love that kind of stuff, and I would love to be there in person to watch it, but when they
mhm.
were making fun of her, I'm like, "Come on now." Like, this has to be a tradition that has been passed down for generations, which means she's probably done it more than once, and y'all just now starting to make fun of her for that? Like, come on now.
Yeah, I don't know. they're
I
just
don't
being
know.
teen mean people.
Yeah, I ain't like them, but girl. But that whole, just the movement, the costume design,
Mhm.
the
All the
art
like,
style.
it's just absolutely gorgeous, and I like the setting of, like, you have Tokyo, right, where, um,
Mhm.
Tucky lives, and basically you have real places, it's like a based
Yeah.
on the inspiration based on real places, and then you have where Mitsuha lives, which is, like, this beautiful, f sort of almost fantasy-esque location, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, and I just
Mhm.
love how, like, the 2 come to play together in a sense, and
Mhm.
it's just done so nice. The, like, animation, the different sequences, like, the whole clouds, like, the sky it literally, honestly, every scene could be like a wallpaper. It's just
Oh,
so
definitely.
beautiful.
Definitely. What I did like about this movie is, just like you said, they show real locations in Japan. So there's certain areas that you can go to now because of this movie that
Mhm.
I've noticed when people go to Japan. There are some people who are going to find the actual locations of the movie,
Yeah.
and they're holding up pictures of like the anime scene and then the actual live scene in Japan, and I think that that is beautiful. So there's, a few people who have taken pictures in Tokyo Skytree and in the crossing. You get to see people on the train, which I don't know if you noticed this, cuz this is my second time watching this movie, and I didn't notice that Taki and Mitsuha were on the Yamanote line, the green
Mhm.
line,
Yeah.
until they got on the train, and I was like, "Oh, I know that train. I've been on that train."
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, "Oh, I've been there. Oh, I've been here." But the one thing I would love to see is the live areas of Mitsuha's town. Like, if
Yeah.
it's based on an actual town, where in Japan, I know it's in Kansai area, I think, based off of the accents
Yeah.
that they use in her hometown, but like, where exactly is it? And like, where can I go and see this huge giant lake with the town kind
Mhm.
of surrounding it? And where can I go visit like the shrines and stuff like that? Like, somebody please, if you have seen somebody do the comparison to this or been in that area yourselves, let me know, cuz I want to see that. I really want to see that.
Ichigo wants to go. I mean, I'll go too. It looks
I want to
beautiful.
go. Oh, you coming with me? You ain't got no choice.
But yeah, no, it really does take, and what I was really, surprised by it is obviously because it is a body swatch move, like, body swapping story, the concept. There's also obviously
Mhm.
supernatural elements, but there's, like we talked about the red thread, there's, like, such a much deeper, like, mythology at play that, and it
Mm.
really comes into contrast because they use technology, the journaling, the texting, and leaving the notes to each other, and then they also put, like, tradition, like you were mentioning, the whole uh the shrine aspect and whatnot in the film, and I feel like this movie does that really well. It, like, introduces tropes that we're familiar with, and then it kind of, like, twists them and changes them up in a way that keeps a lot of audiences guessing, and then it keeps throwing, like, a truth bomb, and then it'll be like, "Oh, no, not yet." Like, and you're just like, wait a minute, it's
Yeah.
not the end yet?" And I think it did that really well.
The way that they played out, that there are technically two different time period, well, not time
Mhm.
periods, but like,
Yeah, but technically, yeah, different
yeah, technically,
times, yeah.
quote unquote, two different times, played out really well, because he's in Tokyo, right? But
Mhm.
he's 3 years into the future,
Yep.
and she's 3 years into the past. But they don't make that known until later on down the line, after a while. Right? So like, we're
Yeah.
getting used to them switching bodies back and forth, leaving
Yeah.
notes for each other, helping each other out.
Yeah,
Um
and you learn it through
like,
heartbreak, like, of, like, "Oh, snap, they're dead." Like
yeah, girl, when I tell you my heart broke again for because it's been a while since I've seen this movie, so my heart
Mhm.
broke again when I was like, oh, he went all the way up, finally found the village, only for the village to have been destroyed 3 years prior.
Yeah.
And then at that point, now he's figured out a way to try to get connected to her again in the past. And
Mhm.
then he explains everything fast forward, and now he is using, he wakes up
Her
as
body.
her, short
Mhm.
hair, wakes up, and he's like, okay, look, I got a plan. I'm going to try and save as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah.
To which he did. And
Yeah.
that whole scene was like, okay, he went back in the past to save the person that he loved, which is great, right? That is amazing.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure any person on this planet, if they were given an opportunity to go back into time to save that one person that they truly love, they would
Yeah.
do whatever in their power to do so. And he was given an opportunity to do that. And the fact that he in the end was able to save her, even if he forgot all of their memories together, the
Mhm.
fact that he was still able to save her, she and even like her friends, they all moved to Tokyo, and they end up reuniting at the very, very end,
Mhm.
was gold. Pure gold.
I mean, even, like, the characters and how they develop, and even the little comedic moments of when they're changed and whatnot and how they impact each other's lives, it's it's all just packaged so well, and I gotta hand it off to Mr. Shinkai. He did a wonderful job. I believe this
Hmm.
story was actually based on, the novel, his own novel that he wrote.
Yeah.
Um, it was, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, I mean, he clearly knows what he's doing, so and I'm excited. I'm excited for, like, him to produce more, like, movies and stories
Hmm.
because I do think it's gonna be exceptional. I mean, granted, his other movies have probably not so far have not been, like, to the tier of, like, Your Name, but I think it does have a really good eye for, like, beautiful things. So, I'm excited for
Oh,
more, I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie. I hope he can keep it up.
I second that. 100% second that. But I also feel like this movie has definitely set a high standard bar for like this type of anime genre. So like
Yeah.
time travel, like mystery, love, romance type
Mhm.
stories. Because as I was watching this movie, I was thinking about the uh anime movie that we reviewed a while back with the Aniluya podcast.
Mhm.
Um,
Tunnel to Summer, I
the
think,
Exit
something
of
like that?
Summer.
Exit to Summer,
Yes.
okay, yeah. Was it
Yeah.
Exit?
Tunnel to Summer, Exit of Goodbyes.
Goodbyes, yeah.
And because that movie is technically like a romance time travel with some grief type movie, right?
Yeah.
But it does not even
It
hold
doesn't touch,
a
like yeah, it doesn't
full
hold a candle to
candle to Your Name. It does not.
Mhm.
I feel like with the Tunnel to Summer movie, that movie had a couple of holes to where if they had explained it a little bit better, it would have made the storyline flow easier.
Mhm.
Whereas in Your Name, even if there's holes, like a few little holes right here and there, the storyline still flows. Like you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to know that specific detail in order to fully understand the story.
Yeah. And I feel like the thing is when you focus too much on time, which I think a lot of stories fail at because they focus too much on the time swap and like the time change. I feel like this story put in enough like humor and comedy of like just regular, kids trying to live their life and then live in each other's like another person's body and like I think because it placed more value and more time on like the development of these characters, I feel like it made it seem like there's less plot holes, at least to me,
Hmm.
because the focus wasn't so much on just like, oh my god, there's a time difference and blah blah blah.
Well, even at that point when they were switching bodies, we didn't think that there was a time difference. We just thought
Yes.
these 2 people are switching lives, but they're within the same time period. So you've got a
Mhm.
teenage boy in the body of a teenage girl and vice versa,
Yeah.
which to me was pure comedy because every single time he switched and got in her body, he would like rub
Yes,
essentially rub her
he would
chest.
be, copping a feel there.
And it was like when they finally met at the, I'll call it a mountaintop,
Mhm.
right as the sun was setting and they were talking back and forth to each other. She
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, you're such a pervert. Like, my sister said you grabbed my chest." And he was like, "Oh, I only did it one time." And I was like, "Bro, you lying." You did it every single time. Which it even got to one
Uh,
point where he does say, like, "Oh, I feel bad for her. I shouldn't do this."
yeah.
And then the next thing you see, like, the sister sliding the doors open and he's, like,
And
just
he's
going
still
for it.
yeah,
And I'm
he's just
just
like,
like,
"Huh? That's right. I did it." Oh, no. I think the humor there was really a nice touch, because
Mhm.
I do think in, like, a story that's like this, you need humor to sort of differentiate from the seriousness of, like, people
Yeah,
dying, from a comet. But
right.
it was just done so well, like, everything was mixed in so well, and, oh, I just like it, and I feel like this is a movie I feel comfortable suggesting to people because I know the general public will probably enjoy it,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah,
it's just really pretty.
I would agree with that, especially with the art style, the view, the beauty, everything. Just it really draws you into the storyline.
Mhm,
Um, there is one thing though that I don't want to say confused me, but it kind of made me think a little bit more into the story. And that
mhm.
was when the grandmother said, "You're not Mitsuha." This was like towards the very, very end.
Yeah,
She
when
said,
he
"Oh, you're not
switched.
Mitsuha. You're still dreaming."
Uh-huh.
When he switched, right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so when he went to, they were kind of talking and the grandmother had mentioned, "Oh yeah, like I used to dream like that a lot." Now they
Yeah,
don't mention the mom dreaming
yeah.
like that, quote unquote dreaming like that, until the dad makes a comment and he's like basically calling Mitsuha, who he thinks is Mitsuha, but is technically Taki in Mitsuha's body.
Mhm.
Um he like calls her crazy and he was like, "Okay, we're going to have to, like, I'll call the hospital right now, and when the hospital says everything's clear, then I'll be willing to listen to you."
Mhm.
But his comment was, "Oh, this must be from your mother's side of the family, like it's happening again."
Yeah.
And that made me think like, okay, so the mom has this power
Yeah.
and the grandmother had this power. So
Mhm.
does the younger sister, like, will she get the power? Is this something, and I know Taki said, "Oh, it looks like it's been passed down for generations." Like
Yeah.
they've been trying to predict this for generations.
Yeah.
But I'm like, at what point, if it's being passed down from generation to generation to generation, if it was passed down like only just the women, how come nobody talked about it? Like
I
nobody
think
said, "Hey, this could happen," or did they all just kind of brush it off and it's like, "Oh, it's just a dream."
I do think there's that part of it, like because the grandma does mention
Mhm.
there's been some spiritual aspects passed down, and then
Mhm.
when I believe, Taki kinda sees Mitsuha's, like, whole life in a sense, like, he just kinda has, like,
Mhm.
a and there have been, like, things in the past that kind of led to this moment, if that makes sense, and they did
Mm.
sort of I feel like the movie was trying to point to the fact that, "Hey, like, yes, there were previous things that led to this moment,
I see.
basically."
I see.
But I wouldn't think too deeply because time travel is, when you start to think too hard, it just only gets more confusing and
Mhm.
stops making sense because realistically, like for us in this time currently, it's just hard to understand such a foreign, unrealistic topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's time travel, but it's also got that. spiritual future esque
Yeah.
like
It
power.
mixes sort of, yep, those 2 things, but I do feel like they made time travel mostly understandable, which it could end up being very complicated, but I feel like they sort of went the realm of like, "Okay, let's not do too much with this and
Mhm.
just keep it simple and put it toward the end." Yes, they're 3 year it was a 3-year difference. Now he's gonna go back and try to save her and yada yada. And I do appreciate because I feel like one thing that Miyazaki's films have is I do feel like his films, you have to think a little because there's such deep meanings a lot of
Mm,
times. Even things like a little bit of politics put in a lot of his films. And I feel
right.
for something like this movie, it was very just straightforward. Like, it's a cute movie. Like, 2 people falling in love kind of thing.
I would agree with that, but I also feel like the deeper meaning of this movie is how far would you be willing to go in order to save that person that you have found a special connection with?
Yeah. But
Or in
yeah.
this case is your soulmate because of the akaito, the
Yeah.
red thread of fate.
But
It
you didn't have to think too
like
hard to
in
figure that
this
out. You know what I
case,
mean? Like Miyazaki's
no,
films,
you
you have to
didn't.
kinda think, like which is nice, but I do feel like for in comparison, he's a little more straightforward than Miyazaki. Shinkai's a little more straightforward, in my opinion, with all his other movies as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that idea, but I still feel like for me it still took a while. Like you didn't really get the deeper meaning until literally the end
Mhm. There's little twists and
of this
turns.
movie. Yeah, it was like the twists and turns cuz quite honestly, you know, let's say for whatever reason he ended up going back to being Mitsuha, like trying to basically save everybody, and this is like his last chance and he still failed. Like the town still ended up
Yeah.
being destroyed and people still ended up, losing their lives, in which case he forgets all of those memories. He's still going to have that feeling of he's supposed to meet somebody, he's supposed to be with somebody, but the Akaito has been severed.
Mhm.
Like those ties have been broken. So moving forward, is it one of those things where it's like, well, now he has to move on with his life knowing he did everything that he could, and in the end it still wasn't enough. Like, does
Yeah.
he feel some type of emptiness inside of him? I feel like the concept behind the red thread of fate is you're only attached to that one person, and when that one person that's on the other end of the thread is gone, you end up losing a sense of yourself. Like you
Yeah.
lose a part of yourself. And so I'm like, huh, like let's say for whatever reason none of this worked. How does he feel moving forward? Like, does he just go on with the rest of his life having to feel like there's a hole inside of him because he could
Probably.
not save that person that he loved? But here's the other thing, he also doesn't remember her.
Yeah, I feel like that can happen. Like, it's similar to people who have, like, certain traumas where they bury deep inside, so they don't remember it because they locked it away, but they still feel something's wrong, and it affects the rest of it affects a lot of their life. I look at it like that in a sense. He would just have, like,
Mm,
this empty void in him, and he won't ever know what it was and why it was
right,
there
because
kinda
he's
thing.
right, because he doesn't have the memory of. In which case, let's say he does feel like that, does he still try to get back with the senpai that he technically had a crush on before all of this started?
I don't know, it
Because
seems
he
like
didn't know anything
they
about Mitsuha until.
yeah. I mean, it looks like they went their separate ways in a sense. He was still
Mhm.
single, like, you know what I mean? So, I feel like no, because he kind of I mean, how he ended up in the end was basically him forgetting. Although he did save them,
Yeah.
he still didn't remember, so I feel like in the end, it would have kind of ended up the same way.
Mm. Yeah. Either way it goes, it's just beautiful imagery, beautiful movie.
Absolutely. Highly recommend. Gotta at least watch it once, even if it's
Mhm.
not up your alley.
Yeah.
I actually have
Yeah.
one more question for you. So a lot of
Yep.
people compare Makoto Shinkai to, of course, Miyazaki. Do
Mhm.
you think he will be like the next Miyazaki, or he's just gonna be a new director? Like, well, he's not really new anymore, but
Um, I don't think they're comparable. I think
hmm
he's going to be his own type of director, if that makes any
hmm
sense. Like,
like he's
I
making a
don't
name for
think
himself, not yeah,
right, right. I think he's making a name for himself, and then Hayao Miyazaki is always going to have a name for himself.
yeah, and that man will never retire
If
anyway. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I honestly think if we were to compare the two, then Shinkai has quite a ways to go, in my personal opinion, because
hmm
Miyazaki has been doing this for so long. Like, he's captivated his audiences with each of his movies for so long
yeah,
that Shinkai is now kind of new. But he's also got a different generation of an audience.
yes,
So I think in that aspect they're not comparable,
hmm
but I think he's definitely going to be able to make a name for himself to where he in his own way will get as big as Hayao Miyazaki, but I don't think that they will ever get to a point where they're like competing with one another or like the movies compete with one another,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah. I agree. I think it'll be really hard for honestly anyone to sort of come through, or I don't know if you can really surpass when it comes to art in an artistic realm. Like you can't really surpass one or the other. Like it's not really possible. But I agree. I
Mm,
don't know if like he's phenomenal, but I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Your Name, although like I do think I highly recommend it, and I understand why people loved it. I feel like it was more a little bit of like good timing and luck. It came at the right time in a sense. And so a lot of people were
mm,
interested in seeing it. And I feel like it didn't have a lot of during that time, it didn't have a lot of contenders like to fight with, if that makes sense. So I just feel like it was maybe like a timing thing and it just got so like it blasted over so much social media and everyone was just so interested and looked really pretty versus like a lot of
yeah.
Miyazaki's work is just I don't know, it's just like you said, it's a little bit different and
Hmm.
there's just a new generation coming in.
Right. I feel like with Your Name, it kind of hit mainstream very quickly
Yeah.
because of the movie itself rather than the director. But
Oh,
with
yeah, yeah.
Hayao Miyazaki, I feel like his movies hit mainstream because he is the director,
Yes. Yeah.
you know? And I think that's just because once again, Miyazaki has been in the field a lot longer. He's
Yes, yes.
made a name. He's had more time to make a name for himself compared to
Mhm.
Shinkai.
I mean, I feel like this was the film that really made him known to, like, the general public, because he does have, like, pretty well-known works, but I don't think he was at the level of, like, "Oh, people know his name." But after
Right.
Your Name, obviously, like, blew
Now
up.
people yeah, now people are
Yeah.
starting to recognize his name. And I can guarantee whatever movies come out next that hit American or not just American, but like hit international audiences. I'm not sure about other countries that do this, but I know a lot of American movies when they want to reference another like popular movie that has the same director, they'll say, "Oh, from the director of Your Name," for
Yeah.
example. And then it's like, "Oh, okay, so the guy that made Your Name is gonna make this movie, so now I gotta see it because I loved Your Name, so I know I'm gonna love
Yeah.
this one." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, Weathering with You and, Suzume, like, because those came after. I feel like
Kimi
people
no Na wa.
yeah, I feel like people, like, kind of know him now.
Yeah, but I still feel like Your Name will always top the charts
Oh,
compared
yeah, I mean,
to
it was much more bigger
Weathering with
than
You. Right,
yeah,
and
but I'm talking
Suzume.
about, like, the things that came after Your Name and what he did.
Mhm.
I feel like, for instance, Weathering with You, I feel like it would have never gotten that big like, well known. I mean, still, it was nothing compared to Your Name, but it got a lot of traction, and I think it was because obviously it was, like,
Mhm.
the second work he did after Your Name, and it
Well, and
very
it
much
hit
had that
American movie
similar.
theaters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the first one, or not the first one, but, like, the one before he did was extremely popular.
Mhm. Right. I feel like Your Name set the bar so high for him
Yeah.
that everything else that came after, you're automatically gonna compare it to
Oh,
Your
yeah.
Name.
But I still like
So
Suzume. I
oh,
believe that
yeah.
was his most recent. Yeah, because that was
I think so, yeah.
2022, I think? Yeah. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, he's still got plenty of time to, like, make a bunch, and there are other
Oh, yeah.
ones from him that I actually really enjoyed, like 5 centimeters per second. I That's a oldie but a goodie.
Mhm, and another classic.
And honestly, I've noticed, like, he does a lot of time pieces where it's, like,
He
different time, different
does.
place, so I don't know. We'll see what he'll get up to in the future, and I'm excited.
Mhm. I am too. So, you guys let us know, what did you think about the movie Your Name? Did you guys love the movie? What are your thoughts? We'd love to hear them. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Anime Sekai Podcast. And we thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Be sure to catch us next week for another brand new episode. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.